All right. Hey everyone, this is Chris Berry with Castle Wealth Group, and we do these weekly wisdom webinars every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Today I'm at the Livonia satellite office, so not the usual background. And we do these to really answer any questions that you may have. There's no agenda, there's no PowerPoint or anything. I'm just answering whatever questions that were either submitted ahead of time, and I only have one today, or questions that you bring to the meeting, you put it in the Q&A or the chat, and I address it there. I always like to start with positive focus, something positive that happened previous week or so. And for me, I have two young kids, 11 and 9, and soccer is in full swing right now. So my son, he had a soccer game that and I'm his coach. We had a game Saturday and we won 7-0. And actually right now we're in first place because there's only been one game and we had the biggest goal differential. So that's kind of exciting. So good job, team. So that's my positive focus. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. Again, this is all general information. If you want to see how this plays out in your situation, feel free to reach out to us, schedule a time to have a conversation. And I guess another positive focus is we're getting back to in-person workshops. So if you want some more information in person, we're starting to schedule in-person workshops like we used to in the past. So here's a question that comes in. All right, so here's a question that was just submitted, and then I'll get into the one that was submitted ahead of time. But again, if you do have questions, please put it in the Q&A. I don't have a lot of questions submitted this week, so right now I'm only at 2. The question is, here, let me do it this way. All right, so let's start with this first question that was submitted. Let me share my screen. Whoops, let me hit this button, and I hit this button, and then I hit that button, and there. Okay. All right. So the first question that was submitted, what is the process to transfer rental property owned by a LLC into an existing legacy trust? So there's different types of trusts out there. A legacy trust is a form of revocable living trust that instead of it going outright to the kids at say 25, 30, 35, what it says is that one trust splits into separate shares, one share for each child, and each child could be the trustee of their own separate share trust. And whatever they leave in the trust would be protected from creditors, bankruptcies, divorces. And then if they pass away, the money would flow down to the potential grandchildren versus going to the in-law. So a legacy trust is a form of revocable living trust versus, say, a castle trust, which is a form of asset protection trust. So the question here is, what is the process to transfer the rental property owned by an LLC into an existing trust? So think of an LLC like a box. And a lot of times when we have hot assets like a rental property, and the reason I call it a hot asset is there might be a slip and fall and now you could get sued because of this asset. So that's why a lot of times what you want to do with that hot asset is put it in the box of a LLC. So a limited liability company. It limits the liability. So if there's a slip and fall, all they can take is what's inside of that box, that LLC, versus going after any of your other assets. And so first you would set up the LLC and then you would deed the property from your name into the LLC. And then all we would do to now get that into the trust would be do an assignment of that LLC. So what is the process? Transfer rental property owned by an LLC into the existing trust. All we do is we assign the LLC, which is a simple document assigning where now the trust is the owner of that LLC. So that is how we handle that. All right. Now the next question that came in, so this is copied from what was submitted. I have stock held over 45 years at the date of the acquisition, but not the actual cost basis. What does the IRA expect for cost basis if you want to sell the stock? It's a good question. So I would think that you would be able to kind of go online these days to find what the basis was or what the cost was at that specific date. Short of that, they want kind of your best efforts to calculate that. and then also the other thing I would throw out there is if you don't have to sell, when you pass away, what happens is that stock gets what's called step up in basis. So if you're leaving it to the kids or something like that, then we wouldn't even have to worry about that. But if you did purchase this 45 years ago and you have to sell, I'm not a CPA, we have a CPA affiliated with us, but I would think that first try to go online and see if you can get the value at that specific time, and then B, just your best approximation. But again, I'm not a CPA. We have a CPA affiliated with our office. There's a question coming in the chat. I told my cost base for trash required a long time ago, and they inserted it. So someone's saying that he told TD Ameritrade cost basis, and they inserted it. Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard to get what the basis is. So that shouldn't be that big of an issue. So, okay, thank you for, so Brian writes in, thank you for your new retirement blueprint book. Well-written, very informative. The chapter on IULs is helpful. Yep. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So what he's talking about, so here's the comment. Let me copy it here. So his comments. Yeah, so that was a earlier positive focus is that beginning of the year, my book was published, and let me actually share that book. Let me pull it up real quick. I hit this button. I hit this button. I should have a copy. So here's a copy of our new book. And this is the book that he was talking about, Retirement and Legacy Blueprint. So if you want a copy, you can either go on Amazon or just give our office a call and we can mail a copy out to you. So if you're on this webinar, just mention that you're attending the webinar and you want a copy of Chris's new book. So thanks for the shout out, Brian. I appreciate it. All right. Anything else? That's all I have. So it's a quick one today, it sounds like. Boop, 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 boop. Yep. So that's all I have. So I'm going to grab some food now. So take care. Thank you, everyone. If you do have questions, feel free to put it in the Q&A or feel free to email me and we'll address it next week. And again, we're going to get back to weekly calls. I was traveling last couple of weeks for some continuing education stuff. So we'll get back into the swing of things. If you do have questions, feel free to shoot them over via email and we'll address it next Wednesday. All right. Take care, everyone. Make it a great week. Bye-bye.